Chapter 3 Integration. Who are you? Who am I? Now, that is the question of all questions that can lead us to doubt or respond ambiguously. I myself can say, I am Paola, I am a woman, I am a Costa Rican, I'm a coach. But if you really notice, I'm not telling you who I truly am, but rather what is my name, gender, nationality, and profession, which, despite being parts of me, are not who I am entirely. Let's take a look at these hypothetical scenarios to illustrate to you that I am not really who I say I am above. If for some reason I have to change my name or nationality, or if, for some motive, I have to give up my citizenship and adopt another one, would I stop being who I am? And if for some reason I no longer practice my coaching profession, then would I cease to be who I am? So to the question, who am I? We must add, who am I without the usual characteristics that you are accustomed to placing after the I am. Maybe you are love. Maybe you are joy. Maybe you are abundance. So, who are you? As we grow up, we adopt a personality that is influenced by our surroundings and by our experiences. We believe that we must be a certain way to be loved, accepted, and approved by others. And for that reason, we take on labels that identify us with our being. In this section, I want to challenge you to question yourself beyond what you think you are and discover which parts pertain to your essence and what other parts are only masks that you have embraced over time. For this purpose, the following is an exercise I learned some time ago from Mr. Jairek Robbins and his book, Live It: Achieve Success by Living with Purpose. It consists of 6 questions. Number 1. When you were a child, who did you most want love from? Not who you got the most love from, but who you wanted love from most. In my particular case, it was the approval of my family and my schoolmates. Number 2. What did you have to be, in your mind's perception, for the person to give you the love you wanted? I had to look my best, not be too emotional, and be a good person. Number 3. What could you never be because you knew in your mind's perception or in reality the person would immediately take their love away from you? I could never look disheveled, be shy, or be sentimental. Number 4. Then who are you today? I am independent and strong. I'm always looking for ways to be healthy, empathetic, brave, adventurous. Number 5. What should you add or remove to become the most authentic version of yourself? I would add the courage to be transparent in my vulnerability and gentleness. I would remove showing false strength and being too hard on myself. Number 6. What do I need to do more and what do I need to do less of in order to live the life of my dreams? Do more. Always honor my emotions. Be strong in my vulnerability. Continue to be courageous to take risks and make radical changes. Do less. Show false strength. Want to impress those who cause me some form of threat. Allow myself to observe and not always actively participate in everything. Number 7. Which values would you like to guide your life then? In my case, femininity, collaboration, gentleness, love, joy, vitality, peace, creative expression, humility, courage, truth, honesty, beauty, fun, compassion, and kindness. Alright then, how about we place the above values after I am? I am creativity. I am femininity. I am collaboration. I am gentleness. I am love. I am joy. Now it's your turn. Please download the attached PDF and do the exercise yourself. Energy. Energy is not created or destroyed. It is only transformed. Antoine Laurent. Now that you know who you are and who you're not, what you want to remove and what you want to add, it is time to talk about something else, about what you are, and that is energy. We are energetic beings with trillions of vibrating energy cells that are constantly being transformed in our body. Hard to believe, right? But that is how it is. That is reality. Let's do this exercise. Right there, where you are. Put your two hands together in prayer position. And now begin to rub them against each other. Rub your hands until you feel some heat in the middle of both of them. Now, separate your hands and put one palm in front of the other, as if you were holding an invisible ball in the middle of them. Open and close your hands without joining them and just feel how this energy ball shrinks and expands. The reason why I'm asking you to do this exercise is because sometimes it is very difficult for the mind to understand about energy and vibrations. That is why I want to give your mind a little test, or in other words, a quote-unquote see to believe demonstration. However, in this case, it is rather a feel to believe experiment. In doing this exercise, all we did was activate the vibration of our hand cells through friction, which allows us to understand that just like our hands, our whole body vibrates accordingly to the level of energy that rubs our cells together. Let me explain myself better. Everything in this universe is made up of energy that vibrates at different frequencies. This includes all objects and living things, including you and me. In the case of human beings, we can also call this energy life, or force, or life force, whatever way you wish to call it. That which lives within you, what keeps you in this planet, we can call it energy. That is why when I say I am, and I don't put any adjective or qualifier before or after it, I remain in the I am. That being, that part that has no name, no occupation or marital status, that unit that we can also call energy, the source, the vibration, life. How is this described? Well, it is complicated to describe or explain because it goes well beyond the intellect. This energy is palpable. Energy and its vibrations operate in high and low vibrations. Low vibrations in human beings are associated with thoughts, words, and actions of defeat, scarcity, frustration, pain, laziness, heartbreak, illness, while high vibrations are related to thoughts, words, and actions of empowerment, love, strength, opportunities, abundance, and health. How about we do another practice? Think about an unpleasant moment in your life, a moment where you would have given anything to not be in your shoes. Close your eyes and remember. What happened? Who was involved? What happened that hurt you so much? Ready? How do you feel? Sad, angry, melancholic? How does your body feel? Stressed, lacking energy? If I would have performed a test of strength on you while you're in those thoughts, most likely you would have seen how your body loses strength and energy. Let's do this other exercise. Think about one of the most beautiful moments of your life. A moment where you knew that you didn't need anything else and didn't want to be in any other place but there. Ready? Close your eyes. Breathe in the moment. Recreate it. Taste it. Love it as if you were reliving it again. How do you feel? If your mind didn't interrupt you, you're probably feeling strong, centered, content, meaning that thanks to the brain impulses your thoughts produced, your cells were charged with a high vibration. A few years ago, when I was running a lot, something would happen that proves this. When I had empowering and happy thoughts of nice memories or visualizations about my dreams, I ran faster. Time went by quicker and livelier. But when I thought of a sad, embarrassing, or guilty moment, I immediately felt a terrible weight in my body, to the point that sometimes I stopped running, as if a force closed in on me and said, "There's no more energy to run." I am telling you this because I need you to understand the power that we have when we take care of this energy, when we pay attention to the vibration of our being, of this infinite power that is not created or destroyed, but it is capable of being transformed. Your best ally. Energy is your best ally. When we vibrate with high energy frequency, or in other words, when our thoughts and emotions are positive, loving, abundant, and full of possibilities, we are creating a state of being so magnetic and powerful that when it comes to creating and introducing ourselves to the world, we become light. When we spend some time without having a romantic relationship, and unexpectedly we fall in love with someone, and think to ourselves, how strange. Now that I'm going out with someone, I feel more attractive, and I'm getting many interested looks. The reason for this is not that we have become more attractive or charismatic. The motive is that falling in love is an energy that vibrates very high and allows us to shine brighter under a new light that was previously dimmed. That is why we have a responsibility to take care of our energy, so we can present ourselves and do our best work in the world. In my personal case, it is very evident how the quality of my work changes, as well as the way I relate to others when I'm with a lower and denser energy. I have learned that it's important to treat my energy as my most valuable asset. And although many would say it has to do with time, I am convinced that it's not so, because time is relative. Albert Einstein explained this in his theory of relativity. that time is relative to the state of the observer. I'm not a physicist, but I will explain this better with an analogy that exemplifies it well. If at this very moment you put your thumb on a hot dish for a minute, I am sure it would be the longest minute of your life. In matters of the heart, when you are dating someone you love very much, 1 minute can be a fleeting second. What is the difference in this particular example? 1 minute of pain is longer than 1 minute of love? As I mentioned before, us human beings do things for two reasons: to escape from pain or to achieve pleasure or well-being. Now, let's analyze what this has to do with your energy. The energy that we carry with us when we find ourselves in lethargic states of frustration, pain, anger, sadness, envy, fatigue, stress, revenge, and misery is an energy that travels slowly and densely through us. Just try and complete a project efficiently when you're in an energy state like the one described above. You will see how something that can take you a few hours can last up to weeks to be finished. Or try to resolve a situation or carry an effective conversation with someone when you're experiencing low energy levels, and you will see how difficult it is to access the wise and intelligent part of your being. On the other hand, what happens when you're excited, cheerful, inspired, rested, abundant, compassionate, grateful, and loving? Suddenly, we are faster in finishing our tasks. We find clear answers to complicated situations. We feel that we can undertake our responsibilities and additionally have enough time to help others. Let me continue with the example of two people who recently fell in love. They can talk for hours until dawn, and suddenly the world becomes a friendlier and abundant place. I am not telling you that you have to wait to fall in love with someone to feel this way. What I want to say is that through my own experience and that of my clients, when we access the powerful and creative energy that is permeated by positive emotions, we are unstoppable, magnetic, and abundant. So, how can we care for and optimize our energy? Let me ask you this question first. Have you already put in practice chapter 1 and 2? These two chapters are great magnetic energy triggers because they align us and they set forth our coherence with who we are. If you're not living the life that you want, and additionally, you're not implementing any action to improve your internal situation, any suggestion that I give you to help you optimize your energy will not have a significant impact. I am not saying it will not have any effect, but it will be more difficult. Many of my clients are leaders or entrepreneurs who have many concerns, stress, and often disregard their personal relationships and health, causing terrible bouts of insomnia. To make matters worse, they tell me, "Paola, I go to bed at midnight and by 4 in the morning I'm awake." Or, "I go to bed and I fall asleep for the first hours of the night, but by 3 in the morning I'm already awake. My brain continues working to try and resolve all the problems I left behind in my office." Does this sound familiar? One of the secrets to having an energy that gives you superpowers is to sleep at least an average of 7 to 8 uninterrupted hours per night. This varies depending on your body, but in general, this is quite accurate. I could tell you that you have to sleep more. But how will you if your mind doesn't shut up or it wakes you up at dawn trying to resolve everything in the world from your pillow? That is why it is necessary first to clean your house of worries and inconsistencies that are causing your nervous system to be upset and your mind to race like a wild horse without any breaks. Hence, I do hope that you're putting in practice the actions mentioned in chapter 1 and 2, so we can move on to the integration phase and apply important practices to elevate your energy. Know, respect, and take care of your energy. It is important to be aware of our energy so we can respect and care for it. What do I mean by this? It is essential to observe our emotions in light of the different activities that we partake in during the day. This will serve as guide to best discover two things. Number one, how my energy behaves during the day. And number two, what activities during the day rob my energy and why. If I go back to those moments in which I know that I am disconnected from myself and I'm not caring for my energy levels, these are my answers. Question. From 1 to 10, how are my energy levels? 1 being that my energy level is very poor, and 10 being that I feel incredibly energetic. Answer. A 5. I have been tired lately. Question. How do you feel when you get up in the morning? Answer. I feel tired, like I want to keep on sleeping. Question. When you get up, do you need coffee to wake up? Answer. Yes, if I don't have my morning coffee, I'm unable to complete my daily tasks. Question. How do you feel from 1 to 10 after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinner? My answer. After breakfast between 7 and 8, after lunch a 5, after dinner a 7. Question. On weekends, how are your energy levels? Answer. I feel better, but I wish I could get more sleep. Do you feel that in some activities you have more energy than others? If so, indicate which ones. Number 1, it gives me energy when I'm giving a lecture, a coaching session, or attending a meeting. It robs my energy. Number 1, when I have to sit for hours at a time in front of the computer. Number 2, it gives me energy when I sleep well. It robs me energy when I sleep less than 7 hours. Number 3, it gives me energy when I exercise in the morning. It drops my energy when I drink alcohol. Number 4, it gives me energy when I eat healthy. It robs me energy when I say yes to situations, people, or projects that I originally should have said no to. Number 5, when I dance, surf, or practice any of my hobbies, it gives me energy. But when I eat processed foods, it robs me energy. Now it's your turn. From 1 to 10, how are your energy levels? 1 being that your energy level is very poor, and 10 being that you feel incredibly energetic. From 1 to 10, how do you feel when you get up in the morning? When you get up, do you need coffee to wake up? From 1 to 10, how do you feel after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinner? On weekends, how are your energy levels? Do you feel that in some activities you have more energy than in others? If so, indicate which ones. What situations rob your energy levels? It is very important to be aware of our energy, to be able to know what it is asking from us, and in many instances, what it's telling us or alerting us about. It may be informing us that we shouldn't follow a certain path, depending on how we feel energetically when we think about it. Or perhaps it may be revealing to us that we may have some vitamin or mineral deficiency in our body. Or possibly be warning us of the presence of a disease. Our energy speaks to us like our emotions. In fact, they go hand in hand and are here to help us. How do we honor it? My answer to this question is that we learn to listen carefully and proceed to use our best judgment to make us feel good. We live in a workaholic society that ignores how it may affect our body and our emotions. I once heard someone say that we can measure our health based on how much energy we have. It makes sense, right? If our body becomes sick, the first thing it does to defend itself is to use up all of our energy to heal. The problem is that we spend a lifetime overlooking this and, quote unquote, helping ourselves or energizing ourselves in the most harmful ways. Large amounts of coffee or energy drinks, which should be illegal, sometimes pills, and in some cases, illicit drugs to be able to stay alert. The outcome is that it leaves us feeling anxious, depressed, with exhausted adrenal glands, and diseases that eventually become chronic. Let's place our energy as an object that must be honored. The obedience that we must exert to our energy when respected is because the quality, situations, and circumstances that it brings determines our life's success. When we go against our energy, what it tells us is definitely something else. We offend and abuse our body. We injure it. Would you agree that it deserves respect? Learning to respect is a process. It is a discipline. But I assure you that it is an act of self-love so deep that you will not feel it as an obligation, but rather a pleasure to serve it. In the end, this is why we do things, to distance ourselves from pain or to go in the direction of pleasure. How can we care for our energy? First, we need to see it for what it is, our source of life. We are energy, and by denying it, we deny ourselves. By loving it, we love ourselves. I know that sometimes it is easier to look outward first, before internalizing. So I want us to do the following practice together. Think about the attributes that the person you love must have or that you would like him/her to have. In my case, I can say that this special person must be kind, friendly, fun, adventurous, loving, interesting, passionate, strong, compassionate, and honest. Now, I can take those characteristics and turn this into questions like, am I being kind to my energy? Am I friendly with myself? Am I fun when it comes to taking care of my energy? Am I adventurous in finding ways to discover myself and see what works for me? Am I loving when it comes to caring for my energy? Am I passionate when it comes to defending my well-being? Am I strong enough to set myself limits and set boundaries to others in order to take care for my energy? Am I compassionate when it comes to seeing what changes I need to make? Am I honest when making decisions in order to feel better? I'm going to suggest you several things that I do to take care of my energy. I want you to know that what works for me may not necessarily work for you. So discover for yourself, explore the possibilities, and fall in love with a new lifestyle that provides you with everything that you're looking for. So then, let's proceed to the 4 most important suggestions I wish to share with you. Number 1, sleep. In her book Thrive, Arianna Huffington of the Huffington Post devotes a whole chapter to sleep. She refers to what I consider to be a notable phrase that says, "Sleep your way to success." In her book, she discloses a study performed at Harvard University, which indicates that a person who sleeps 4 to 5 hours a day for a week, or sleep deprived for 24 hours straight, triggers a deterioration in their blood equivalent to having a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. This implies that when we are not sleeping enough, not only are we more emotional and less alert, but we are in a state of drunkenness. I have witnessed this when I have traveled long distances and I haven't been able to sleep well, or for some reason, I have gone more than 24 hours without sleeping. There is a feeling of heaviness, awkwardness. You cannot speak coherently. I end up drinking coffee to force my adrenal glands to produce energy, and an anxious energy, or what I call a false energy, overcomes me. In her book, Arianna suggests several things. However, one of my favorites is to set an alarm to go to sleep, and in doing so, you will develop an awareness that it is equally important to go to sleep early in order to fulfill your hours of sleep and repair your cells at night, as it is to get up early in order to meet your responsibilities. By going to sleep early, your brain will get the rest it needs to function better and to have a better memory. If you notice, this is part of the commitment we have with ourselves, our families, and our duties. If we carry on almost drunk because we're not sleeping properly, then what kind of integrity and responsibility are we displaying? Number 2, get moving. I was once participating in a conversation about the power of exercise for our bodies and minds. One of the people in the conversation said, "A gentleman once explained to me so clearly that I no longer had any doubts. He told me that when you don't exercise, your mind tends to take a situation and transform it into something big. In contrast, when you exercise, situations tend to remain small or very small. People who exercise have happier brains with less stress and anxiety. Many studies suggest that parts of the brain that control thinking and memory are greater in volume in people who exercise compared with those who do not. These areas, when we are in good shape, enable us to be people who can respond to the challenges of life more clearly and proactively. When we exercise, we transform our energy into creative energy and possibilities. Our mind suffers most when we don't have enough blood and oxygen to irrigate it. We must help it to function as if we were watering a beautiful plant, the plant of life. Let's do ourselves a favor and begin to make movement a requirement, as important as eating or sleeping. If you don't like to go into the gym, then walk, dance, bike. If you consider that you don't have much time, then go for 30 minutes walk during your lunch break. In his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss states, "Lack of time is lack of priorities." Imagine that tomorrow someone puts a gun to your head and tells you, "If you don't start exercising every day, I will kill you." Would exercise become a priority or not? No one is putting a gun to our head, but somehow or another, we're putting it to ourselves by leading sedentary lives. Number 4, be grateful. Did you know that negative thoughts are able to intoxicate our body to the point of making us sick? What happens to a sick body? The body needs to heal because it is magnificent, and it wants to keep us alive for as much as it can in this world. When it tries to heal itself, it uses all the energy it has to restore itself, leaving you exhausted. Many clients have told me, Paola, I sleep well, but it seems as if I am not rested. I'm not that busy at work, but there are situations that have me thinking. I don't exercise, I don't complete the task that I have to do very well, because I always feel as if I am exhausted. What do you think is the most important thing I know from this? There are situations that have me thinking. Assuming that this is a mind without much emotional discipline, then surely thinking of quote unquote the situation comes in the form of negative thoughts such as, it always happens to me. I hate this person. I hate being this way. I hate this situation. I can't do that. I'm not enough. They talk about me. I can't believe they mistreated me this way. Life is so hard. I will never be able to get out of this. Among thousands of other things that our mind says. Notice how, in the previous paragraph, I referred to an undisciplined mind. When our minds run aimless like a wild horse, it will run around without any direction, leaving you exhausted from all the running and from fear. One of the most powerful disciplines I've discovered in recent years is the power of gratitude. You will see, when we are thankful, we raise our energy because we connect with abundance. A frightened and uncontrolled mind tends to seek the worst case scenario so that we can somehow control, manipulate, and change the situation with our mind and with our thinking. Sounds crazy, right? Our mind needs light to remove darkness from thoughts of scarcity. This light is called gratitude. You will realize that when you are grateful, you will not be able to have all of those limiting thoughts at once. Simply, when there is light, there's no darkness. They don't coexist in the same place. One eliminates the other. How do you want to live? I hope your answer is to live in the light. So let's learn how to turn on that light with this wonderful tool. How am I so convinced that this works? Because of the wonderful miracles I have witnessed in using its power. Everything I have told you in this book has already been proven to me, and I can provide you with many testimonies. One of them happened as I was going to visit my parents in the city one day. I was at my lowest point financially, so wanting to save money, I decided to go by bus. Along the way, I was thinking, I have no money. What am I going to do? Besides, I feel bad today. I have eaten badly. I can see it in the fit of my clothes. Surely my body is full of stress, and I'm getting fat. I'm a fraud. I don't even know why I'm a life coach. This is not going to work. At that moment, I caught my mind in action, in rebellion, and told myself, I don't accept this. Let's be grateful. So I started to affirm, I am grateful for this moment of uncertainty because it teaches me to trust. I thank my country that has a good transportation system that allows me to travel comfortably. I am grateful for my mother, who's waiting for me at the bus terminal. Oh, my mom. I'm so grateful for how incredibly loving she is. I'm grateful for my body discomfort because it helps me to love myself unconditionally. I appreciate the temporary money shortage because this allows me to seek new ways to generate resources. I am grateful to have a computer, a cell phone, and internet access, since there are tools that indicate that I'm one of the few privileged people in the world who have access to these luxuries, and this already makes me abundant. I am grateful for remembering this exercise and having the courage to resort to it when it would be easier to be miserable. And so I continued until little by little I began to feel my energy being transformed into a high and rapid energy. My situation was not critical, it was complicated, but by seeing everything I was and already had, I saw the tools I needed to overcome any obstacles. I have turned to this exercise in the midst of an illness, in complicated work situations, and in breakups. Now it is your turn. I recommend that if you can write it down, do so. If you're alone and don't want to write it down, then say it out loud. And if you feel comfortable and you're with someone, share it with that person. Many people have a diary where every night, before bedtime, they write down the reasons for which they are grateful. This practice is so powerful that days after that trip, I was inspired to write this poem. It goes like this. I wait for better days. Days when shame doesn't fill my bones with bitterness, where I'm freer than my mind. I know that life is always good to me, and even if there are bad days, I will always remember that there are daybreaks filled with new possibilities. I hope that we always have a smiling soul to love, to laugh, and that even if the day is gray and the soul is tired, remember that sometimes we don't win, and when paradoxically that happens, we may be winning a lot. I want to jump into the abyss. I want to escape to that day where everything will be well. That day where I sing in the morning and where so many butterflies dance in my stomach. That day is today. Today, although hard, we have done well. We have done the best we can. Today, we deserve vivid colors and sweet flavors. Today, we love life, even if darkness is invading this day. Be thankful. Thank the torture that reminds us of the pain in others who often dance this dense rhythm of sadness. It is not fair, they say, but they don't know that justice dresses up in different disguises. Sometimes what is just and necessary is to submerge ourselves there for a moment, in neglect, in our own rejection, so that when we remember it, we can be grateful for that day, and with a greater desire, operas of happy birds will smile and share the good news about to arrive. That day belongs to us. We are responsible for our fury as much as our joy. That is why we must survive. We must fall 1,000 times and underfeed the ego when we realize that we can get up. That fragile, foolish ego that swells when you distract yourself. Today it will not dominate, nor tomorrow. Today we will get up to work only for the days of light, Days of gratitude. Today, I expect many beautiful mornings and protected moons. Today, we are free. I hope we don't forget it. And number 4, eat living food. My colleague and friend, Catalina Vargas, of www.cataplum.com, has been a great influence on my eating habits. She suggests in her talks that the most important thing about food is not to count how many calories or carbohydrates a product has, but to focus on the food itself and its nutrients. The difference between a food and a product is simple. A product is anything that has a long-term expiration date and has more than one ingredient on its label. On the other hand, a food is the opposite. It is something that can be easily damaged, so you have to eat it when it's fresh and only has one ingredient. In summary, foods are fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, and white and red meats. The above foods are of great benefit to our energy as they provide many nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, helping our body to recover and strengthen itself. Additionally, among foods, there is a further classification: living/raw foods, or cooked foods. Raw foods are foods that come from the ground and don't go through a cooking process. These foods, in addition to having great nutritional content, have enzymes that help in your digestion. The effort that the oxygen that our digestion requires uses a lot of our energy. That is why when you eat a lot or eat badly, you feel tired and want to sleep afterwards. Your digestive system is undergoing a great task, leaving you without much energy to think, pay attention, and do your activities. That is why, with less effort and oxygen required, less energy will be needed and you will have stash of energy for your body to use for other activities. Furthermore, raw food is food that helps our blood to be more alkaline and non-acidic. The alkalinity of our body is key to achieve higher energy levels. Our blood has a pH, hydrogen potential, and it measures the state of acidity, neutrality, or alkalinity within it. When our body is acidic, it tends to become inflamed at a cellular level. And when there is inflammation in our body, we create an environment in which more diseases can develop. Instead, in a body in which the blood is alkaline, it is said that it is a body that is not compatible with diseases, as it has a strong immune system. We deduce that when we eat living food, we have more energy. Catalina suggests that out of every meal, we look to have at least 50% of our plate be filled with live food. If you find it very hard to eat raw foods, I invite you to visit her page and refer to the green juice section. Green juices and smoothies are a great alternative to eating raw food, as it makes it easy to pack a lot of raw nutrition into each drink. A diet filled with processed products, baked goods, sweetened cereals, hydrogenated oils, dairy products, saturated fats, desserts, canned foods, fast foods, fried foods, white sugar, refined flour, etc., is one way to guarantee having less energy and more lethargy. The brain and the nervous system also suffer a lot and leave you struggling to pay attention, to create, and to feel good. The acronym for Standard American Diet is SAD, and we know that the term sad is never good. If it helps, remember every time you eat non-life products, you're eating sad food that will bring sadness to your body. It is important that you put this into practice. And to achieve this, I first want you to observe what you eat for a few days. Over the next 3 days, without changing anything, just pay attention to what you eat and how you feel after eating it. Once you have this covered, sit back and analyze what foods lower your energy and which ones you could substitute for healthier ones. I know that in the beginning, it can be a bit difficult, especially if you do it alone. I suggest that you contact a holistic nutritionist who will know how to guide you on the right path. It is worth researching and learning more about energy supply. You will see how the benefits that you will reap will immediately reflect themselves in your energy levels, your mood, and your health. Energy to create. Visualize. Now we are ready. We have our tools in action, and I'm confident that you are already getting a good night's sleep. You're moving about, you're in grateful mode, and you're eating live food. We are ready to create through visualization. Albert Einstein said, "Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere." Everything we see on a physical level was at some point in someone's imagination. That is why, in this section, I want to tell you that it is not so different with our lives. About 12 years ago, as I was on my way to work at my first job, I said to my mother, "How nice would it be to be able to live at the beach, get up, and know that you could work on something that you're passionate about?" My mother, at the time, listened to me, but didn't say much. Years later, she confessed what she had thought at that moment. This girl doesn't know what life is about. She, being a wise mother, didn't refute my comment and chose not to say much. She knew that destroying someone's dream with negativity would turn me into a person with little dreams. I remember that, like any job at the start of our lives, I knew that I wouldn't stay there forever. I dared to daydream. I perfectly recall how I imagined my life. I would wake up in my beach house. I would surf or exercise in the morning. And I had a 4x4 car for rocked roads. I didn't know what I was going to do for a living, but I knew I would enjoy it very much. I knew that I wanted to live at the beach. My new job would have to be in a tourist area, near one of my favorite beaches. So exactly 6 years went by, and life had brought me to Brazil, where I got a job, having just obtained my college degree. In Brazil, I decided to live near the beach, and my job was to teach English and Spanish, which I truly enjoyed and loved for the year and a half that I lived there. Once I returned to Costa Rica, I knew that my heart would be much happier if I was near the ocean. So I went to live at the beach again, and 4 years later, I received a call to participate in a project. Guess where? That's right, at the beach in the tourist area that I previously mentioned. I would be doing what I am passionate about, coaching, and being my own boss, with my own schedule. I will be able to exercise to the rhythm of the ocean and live exactly where my much younger self, who seemed to barely know anything about the world, dreamed she would 12 years prior. This is one of the greatest things I've manifested with the power of visualization. But I have also attracted to my life business, people, circumstances, services, and products that when I first imagined them, my fears arose, stating, "Never, Paola, that is impossible." But as I have learned, if my soul can dream it, then I can achieve it. I don't want to create false illusions here. The visualization must be accompanied by a great dose of action. But when you have a great vision of what you want your life to be, and you understand that a great dream is fulfilled by many small and tangible steps, and you surrender to it, the creative power of the universe will conspire to put in your path the pieces you need to play a great game. This is what I call the co-creation process. When I started my coaching practice, I knew that I wanted to have an online presence. It was then that I bought a program from a great coach who taught me exactly what I was looking for. Her name is Marie Forleo, and her program is B-School. She was a great example of what could be achieved, and I wanted to learn what she had done to manifest her success. One of her first tips was to have a great vision, and also to know that this great vision needed small steps. I took the first of one of those little steps a couple years ago. She suggested that one of the best ways to promote coaching services was through blogging, and consistency in this task was key. As she did, I was very interested in making video blogs instead of writing. So, on April 16, 2013, I took it upon myself to start my channel called Paola Castro Coaching. And today, as I write this, I can proudly say that I have more than 100 videos uploaded on my channel. These videos have attracted audiences from Mexico, the United States, Spain, Argentina, Switzerland, Chile, Peru, and many other countries. If a few years ago I had stopped to think if this was possible, all the statistics of my limited mind would have said, "No, Paola, who are you that people will stop and watch a video of you? There's a lot of competition out there. You don't have a professional camera to do this with, and blah, 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 blah." To a certain extent, it was true what my mind would have said, but I didn't care. The experience with the videos has improved in the last years, and what before took me half a day to record, now I do it in 10 minutes. So you see, when you do things with vision, passion, service, and consistency, the universe answers back. Now, why is it so important to visualize first? When we visualize, we're putting ourselves in a high energetic state. Consequently, when we train our mind to create through our imagination, our actions unconsciously follow our thoughts. Someone once said, "Worrying is like asking for what you don't want." If in our mind we are placing mental images or visualizations that represent fatalistic, discouraging, and negative outcomes, then your actions will follow that pattern of thinking, creating exactly what you didn't want to happen. From Oprah to Olympic athletes, many use this innate visualization power that we have. That is why I don't want you to waste it. Start using it today. The benefits will be incredible. Generate an environment to create. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Jim Rohn. It is true that we create our own reality through a clear vision of what we want, healthy practices to keep your energy levels high, and a series of actions that lead you to achieve your goal. In turn, the universe gets your signal that you are now ready to receive what you have been longing for. It is important to add one more step. And this is to generate an environment that will help you create. This setting can range from where you live to how you live and with whom you connect. This point is crucial in our ability to create. While it is true that nothing affects us unless we allow it to, inevitably, if you are in an environment with low and dense energy, and you only spend time with negative people, or with those who are simply not on your same page, it will be much harder to operate at a level where you have room to expand. This is what I call helping yourself win. How? Helping yourself win includes all the practices and habits we have discussed so far, as well as providing environments where inspiration and enthusiasm are easy to experience. The people that surround us have great influence on us, just as we have on them. Jim Rohn couldn't have said it better. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Who are these people in your life? When my tribe is a group of people who dream big, who believe in the abundance of resources and not in their scarcity, and they can celebrate the triumphs of others because they know that when a person wins, we all win. My life has an exponential growth curve. Now, I am not suggesting that you cut off all your friends and family if currently these people are not a tribe that positively influences you. It is not about that. It is more about looking intentionally for those people we may already know. And when we speak, our conversations are open and supportive. What happens if we don't know anyone like that? Well, I want you to make an inventory of people who have passed through your life. For example, teachers, bosses, ex-colleagues, or co-workers and people that you admire. Yes, it may be that you only know them online. Have you thought of anyone yet? Now, how can you approach him or her? In my case, I have my series of quote-unquote experts in the coaching field, and I have contacted many of them through Facebook. True, not all answer back, but at least I showed interest, and some have the courtesy and the time to give me their opinion or advice. Besides, it doesn't matter if I don't get to know them personally. They're part of the podcasts I listen to, the Facebook pages I follow, and the groups and social networks where I have found people that, although we cannot physically exchange ideas and opinions, we can relate. What subjects are you interested in? Can you enroll yourself in a course where you will meet new people who share your same interests? Which groups on Facebook would you like to belong to? Come on, go for it. As the saying goes, if the mountain doesn't come to Muhammad, Muhammad goes to the mountain. There are no excuses not to accomplish this. The excuse, of course, will be set forth by your fears. But at this time, I trust that you're training your mind not to believe in the limiting illusions of fear. Do you live in a household where your parents or relative are negative? In a work environment where your associates are hurtful and drain your energy? Well, maybe it is time to become independent, to recalibrate your relationships, to ask for a promotion, or to change jobs. What should your next move be based on the indications provided by your situation? I know it is not always simple to change your surroundings, and it may not happen overnight. But remember that the beginning of all transformation is to question the status quo and see what possibilities you have to change and improve. Just like as with your friends, also check your home and your office. Is what you see and what you feel pleasant when you're there? If your answer is no, then what can you do to make it an agreeable place? A disorganized place is a reflection of a disorganized mind. Your environment is key to being creative and powerful. It is important that you don't skip this step. Spirituality. I believe in God, but not as one thing, not as an old man in the sky. I believe that what people call God is something in all of us. I believe that what Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and all the rest said was right. It's just that the translations have gone wrong. John Lennon. So many times I've asked myself, how can I talk about spirituality and separate it from religion? I have great respect for the different faiths. What's more, I admire many beautiful rituals that different religions have and their approaches to explaining the essence of life and love. It is true that our logical mind can get caught up in the details of what spirituality versus religion really means. But in this book, I prefer to leave that aside, and instead of referring to its structure, I prefer to talk about its content. To say that someone is spiritual, or that I myself am, is the equivalent of saying I am love. I believe in love, and I practice love. The kind of love I'm referring to it is not specifically the romantic love between two people, although I don't exclude it, but rather the connection that all people and living beings have on this planet. Many of the concepts that I wish to share with you can create some form of conflict or intellectual confusion. So it is important to warn you that your intellect sometimes cannot explain what can only be felt and touched with your heart. Open your heart and let's journey into this experience, which is the basis of everything we're doing in this world. Our soul. We come into this world with the mission of healing ourselves, and through our healing, to heal the world. In our human experience, we live through circumstances that support the expansion of our soul, and therefore, that of the universe. Our soul reaches our body, our family, our country, and a precise culture. All the elements around us sustain our mission on earth. Nothing is by chance. When we are born, we enter this body, which also contains a mind. But as we grow, we fall into a form of numbness because we have to learn to see with our human eyes. Once, our physical eyes overshadow the eyes of the soul because of socialization. That is when our healing mission begins, and we recall, even in our physical experience, the reason why we came into this world at this time. It may sound overwhelming to think that we have a great mission to accomplish. For now, we don't know how to contain ourselves and deal with difficult situations on a day-to-day basis. But I do have good news for you. Your mission begins with something very simple: to live in grace, in joy, and in love. I am sure that just like me, you also want this for your life. The freedom to choose how we want to live our life is our gift. However, sometimes we forget how to use this gift at best. As I mentioned in previous chapters, we fill ourselves with fear. Therefore, we make choices out of fear instead of making choices with our soul. And that is when we suffer. Why do we suffer? According to Buddha, we suffer because of our attachment to our desires. This may sound confusing because we also say that fulfilling our dreams is what expands the universe. And if we don't have dreams, then we're not evolving. Okay, let's go step by step. It is necessary to have a vision, to wish to fulfill it, and to evolve with it. With each action we take, we're leading the way toward this dream. As Antonio Machado suggested, travelers, there's no path. Paths are made by walking. If we don't have desires, there will be no vision. And without vision, there will be no clear steps to take. Therefore, our path can take any course, and it will lead us anywhere. As the old saying goes, he who walks in darkness doesn't know where he's going. So, do you want to go just anywhere or to a place of your choosing and where you wish to go? The purpose of this book is to help you find your very own path, the one you want, not mine, not the one your parents or society dictates. I trust that the previous pages provided you with that clarity. Now that you have that clear objective, you need to check your attachment to it. This is how we prepare ourselves to win the hero's journey. As author Joseph Campbell sets forth in his studies on mythology, once the hero has committed to the quest, he will be faced with different rivals. Those rivals will sometimes be present in his surroundings, but most of the time they live in his mind. One of my favorite coaches, Christine Hassler, describes very well how to bring down this rival that stops us in the hero's journey. She says, "The secret sauce for success is high involvement with low attachment." The best way to overtake fear, which becomes terrified itself when we want to progress, is through high commitment, constant action towards what we want, but very low attachment to the outcome. This is the secret. It is not desire that makes us suffer more, but rather the attachment we develop by believing that its result will label us or identify us as enough or not enough. The mere thought that our essence will be compromised if we don't achieve something is what causes our pain. In fact, our soul also suffers because from within it says, no, we are not that achievement. We are already perfect and open, and this is only an assignment for our evolution. But we don't listen to our souls because the voice of fear is so loud and so strong when it is upset or frightened that the truth that sets us free passes before us unnoticed. The truth is that you are infinite, perfect, and whole. We are not missing out on anything. We're simply frustrated by the illusion of fear. When the illusion of fear fades away, only our essence shall remain, and this essence is beautiful, expansive, and abundant. How to not have any attachments. Fear believes that we are the sum of our accomplishments: a home, a car, a trip, our diplomas, masters, PhDs, training certifications. How to not have any attachments. Fear believes that we are the sum of our accomplishments: a home, a car, a trip, our diplomas, masters, PhDs, training certification, our marital status, married, single, divorced, our economic status, amount of money in the bank, our employment status, boss, manager, leader, the beliefs of those who accept me as the good person, the savior of others, the courageous, and of those who belong in my life, my husband, my family, my children. When my identity is directly correlated with what I just mentioned, I then suffer because I am not only that, the achieved desire, and if that wish is not granted or fulfilled, I simply cease being what I am. Look how simple it is to move from a want to a being. Example: I want to own a home this year. Reality: you were unable to buy it this year. Conclusion: I am not enough. I am ashamed. I'm a failure. So, how do I get rid of this fear that I identify with success or failure to achieve my dreams? The answer is simple: surrender, let go. Surrender. If you knew who walks beside you on the way that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. A Course in Miracles. This surrender, or letting go, is not synonymous with giving up our dreams, but rather trusting in something superior to us, as this beautiful phrase from A Course in Miracles suggests. While it is true that our souls hold a little bit of God, a beautiful and perfect idea of the universe, as we enter our bodies and minds to live this human experience, we become limited. This limitation helps us to fulfill our purpose, which is to live this human experience, remembering every day that we're also spiritual beings. What happens is that we forget why we distract ourselves with our day-to-day struggles. That is where the real work is. And when I refer to work, I mean to remember that we are part of something greater than what our human eyes and senses can perceive. We're infinite and we can access those boundless resources offered by the universe. However, we cannot enter this vast diversity of choices and synchronicities if we are too busy relying on our own strength and our own limited human capacities. A Course in Miracles suggests in Lesson 48, the presence of fear is a sure sign that you're trusting in your own strength. And so it is. Anxiety, stress, and sometimes lack of self-control arise because you forget that you are not alone. You forget to reconnect with home, to the source of your creation, to God. And only from there we will receive guidance, answers, and the strength we look for in all the wrong places. That is why we develop addictions. We attain temporary happiness through others, through drama, through food, through gambling, through working, through drugs, through alcohol, through cigarettes, through anger and control, without knowing that permanent happiness can only be found if we resort to our divinity. Has it ever happened to you that you're stressed, it is Friday night, and you decide to go and relax with a few drinks? You drink more than your body needs, and on Saturday morning, you're not only tense because of the workload you left behind, but now your body is exhausted and emotional as a result of the short-lived pleasure you had the night before. Or perhaps you know that you shouldn't be with that person who hurts you, but inside of you, you have developed such a dependence to the momentary happiness that said person gives you that you agree to breaking your promises, and the following day you feel more empty, more depressed, and more anxious than before. These examples can be interchanged with food, procrastination, drama, gossip, and other addictions that human beings develop, seeking to fill a void with pleasurable and fleeting moments. That is why it is necessary to let go and surrender to something superior, to be able to act with a higher consciousness. Ultimately, if we continue repeating the same behavioral pattern, we will obtain exactly the same results we have always received. How to surrender. Enough theory. Let's get into action. One of my favorite practices, and probably that is why I'm a coach, is to translate philosophical concepts into practices and rituals that transform us into the teachers of our own lives. As Aristotle puts it, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And a habit is something you do naturally after much repetition. Creating the habit of surrendering. I recommend that you follow these steps. Step number 1. Take responsibility for your truth. If you still don't know what your truth is and what you really want, I recommend that you return to the first chapters of this book and diligently do the exercises. You are 100% responsible for what happens to you, and nothing and no one can take away your freedom. Number 2, ask for guidance. Recently, I learned a delightful practice to ask for guidance. With your eyes closed, taking a few seconds to connect with your breathing, inhaling and exhaling deeply and slowly. Find that unguarded space in your chest and ask your God, the universe, the angels, or whatever you believe in or want to evoke at that very moment. What in my life must I change to achieve what my soul desires, to fulfill my purpose on earth? Be available to listen. It may be that your mind wants to give you many answers, but be patient and recognize that divine voice that wants to speak to you. You may want to stop this exercise here or go further and deeper. When I did this exercise, I took deep breaths and simply wrote freely. This came to me. Love yourself. Be kind to yourself. There's no competition, only the one that your mind creates. Trust, I am here. Turn to me when you're lost in your wall of ideas and thoughts. Just say, help, I'm losing myself in my own mind. Lead me back to thoughts of love. Open yourself. Open your heart and your presence to the world. Don't hide anything. The world needs your presence. Everything comes when you enjoy the journey, not when you compete against yourself or against others. Flow. It is here that my fear dared to ask, and if I do flow, will there be no discipline and everything will be a disaster? And the answer was, be disciplined in all of the above, and the rest will align itself. Be disciplined in all of the above, and the rest will align itself. You will notice that, ironically, if you commit 100% to your inner success, external success will follow you, and you will receive gifts that your mind never even planned for, or much less manipulated on its path to them. Next, ask for more clarity with this question. What would my life be like if I accepted and practiced all of these things that you're teaching me? In my case, I saw myself more content, more creative, more open, without attachments, more successful, softer, more feminine, and in service of others. I no longer needed to prove myself to others, but rather my validation came from within. It stemmed from the idea that if I am in this world, it is because the universe already favored me to be here, alive. have the green light and permission to be happy, regardless of circumstances. Number 3, make your personal time non-negotiable. Personally, my mornings and my hours of sleep over the years have become precious, non-negotiable time frames. When I am in a constant rush, it is easy for me to disconnect and distract myself with the ideas and prejudices in my mind. That is why, over time, and by learning that rituals are the secret of geniuses, I have decided to commit to 2 things the best way I can. Number 1, time for myself in the morning, and number 2, respect my hours of sleep. Let me tell you all about this personal time that I dedicate to myself in the mornings. Every morning, depending on how long I have, I try to connect with my breathing, honoring every breath of air I take as a symbol of gratitude for still being able to breathe. Once I do 2 to 3 minutes of intonation with my breathing, I take 2 to 3 minutes to give thanks. I say thank you for the smallest details and grandest things. I'm grateful for the beautiful and comfortable sheets I have on my bed, to realizing that there are trillions of cells inside me doing their job to make me feel good. Once I am done being grateful for 2 to 3 minutes, I then pray. This prayer has no special pleas, but rather it focuses on thankfulness again. This time I will be thankful for what I wish for, as if it already existed, because it does already exist. Everything we desire in our hearts has already been created on an invisible level. It is gratitude and visualization that allows our desires to materialize on a physical level. So, for example, as I write this book, I wake up every morning and I am grateful for its publication and for all of you who are reading it. I visualize you with this book in your hands, with a smile in your heart, feeling hopeful and motivated to move on. This is the best prayer I know. When we pray with petitions, we are suggesting and accepting that they're still not existent, that they have not materialized, and that simply it is not true. The universe has already created everything you asked for. Now it is time for you to manifest it. I manifested you here in my book, right? This works. Finally, as a last step, I set out my 3 intentions for the day. They can be as specific as, today I will finish writing this essay, or today I will listen to my body before eating, or as comprehensive as, today I will be open to what life brings me. Today I will give love and I will look forward to having pleasant and gentle thoughts. Or you can combine the 2, and by this time you will have been connected to yourself, and it will be clear what intentions your soul and heart wish you to fulfill throughout your day. Number 4, breathe whenever you feel you need to. So many things can go beyond our control. In fact, I will go so far as to say that everything is out of our control, and our fear doesn't like that at all. Let's remember, once more, that the most important thing for fear is that we survive. And sometimes, life circumstances depend on many external factors which can represent, in an unconscious and conscious manner, that our value and existence are compromised. Since your life in that moment of anguish of fear is probably not actually in danger, but rather your mind is worrying too much about what will happen or happened, then it is time to breathe. Breathing serves several purposes. First, It puts you in control of the only thing you can be in charge of, yourself. Then it calms your nervous system and oxygenates your brain. When we feel disoriented by so much fear, anger, sadness, anguish, whatever your uncomfortable emotion may be, that amygdala I mentioned at the beginning of this book is activated. And although it wants you to feel you're in control, this often implies worrying too much, and it affects our immune system by the uncontrolled release of cortisol. Furthermore, it also affects the nervous system by shifting us towards negative emotion conditions such as depression, anxiety attacks, insomnia, and chronic stress. Let's help our minds to feel some form of control that is much less stressful for the body with a deep inhale and a relaxing exhale. Do it as you hear this. Inhale deeply in a controlled fashion. Hold all the oxygen for a few seconds. And now release it gently. You can do this as many times as you need. If you're able to close your eyes, you will feel much better. Some time ago, I heard someone say, when we close our eyes, we can see more clearly because we're seeing with the eyes of the soul. This exercise will give you a sense of relief. Your brain will oxygenate itself and in turn, help you to think better about how to resolve that situation that overwhelms you. Moreover, your soul will receive a signal that you're finally ready to listen to it. You're sending a message that says, I am lost in the thoughts of my mind. I welcome divine strength and wisdom to come into my life. Number 5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Energy flows where attention goes. Unknown. Do you know what one of the things that make us feel victimized and unhappy are? The thought of scarcity. I am not, I don't have, there is no, or the day that I have, I will. When the day comes, then I will. When they change, then I. The having to weigh or the statement that you don't have or maybe will never have, of course, makes us feel very bad. Essentially, we want to have a life abundant in love, health, money, fun, etc. And when we see that these desires cannot be fulfilled, then we feel resentful. Even so, the important thing here is not to worry about what has not arrived yet or what you don't have. We must instead focus all of our attention to what we do have. Depending on where you place your attention, that is where your energy will be. If you focus on what you don't have or what you haven't become yet, then your energy will be limited and scarce, creating even more of that which you don't want. When instead our energy is in everything we already have, we are, and we can do, we see that we're living many miracles today. That is why in step 3, make your personal time non-negotiable. I suggest that in your morning ritual, you practice gratitude. If you start your morning like this, then you set the tone for the entire day. However, this is not an exercise to be done only in the mornings. You can also resort to it as a resource tool when you need it during the day. For example, you see yourself in the mirror and you see that you still don't have the body you want. It is very easy for fear to take control and judge you. Has this happened to you? What if instead, with your newly discovered super awareness, you say stop, time for gratitude mode, and mentally or out loud as you prefer, Begin to list everything that is great with your body. I am grateful to be healthy. Today I feel no pain at all. Or I am grateful to have 2 legs, 2 arms, and pretty eyes. When you begin to realize all the things that are already good, the extent of your judgment decreases and you begin to vibrate toward the direction of abundance. Scarcity mentality makes us take for granted the many blessings that are already in our life. Remember that what is normal for you might be considered a privilege and a luxury to someone else. Number 6, have fun to flow. Happiness is the food of the soul. An existence with joyful moments and fun is a fluid and energetically magnetic existence. It may sound somewhat of an irony, but it is in moments of relaxation, contentment, and fun where my best ideas have surfaced, and the same has happened to my clients who have applied it. This happened to a client of mine named Oscar, for example. A successful businessman, he had attained professional success, but lately he was in a rut. Something was missing in his life, and he didn't know what it was. All he knew was to work hard. He began his days at 7 a.m. and ended them at 7 p.m. We did a lot of internal self-discovery work, and during this inner journey, we did the exercise that I taught you about beliefs. We discovered that one of his beliefs was that if he were to have fun or relax, it would suggest being irresponsible, lazy, and that his company could go bankrupt. This would imply having to let all of his employees go, which, because of his nature of wanting to help others, was a mortifying thought. And the worst case scenario was that he was going to be left with nothing, lonely, and on the brink of death. That is why he had to work 12 hours a day, so that his worst fear would never happen. Gradually, we began to weaken that belief by replacing it with a new belief. In amusement and relaxation, I find high productivity and creativity. At first, he didn't believe it, so I told him to fake it until he assimilated the new belief. To achieve this, he had to see results in order to collect new evidence that indeed it is true. That is how he decided to, little by little, take some hours off to be with himself, to breathe, to play with his daughter that he loves so much, and to simply be. A couple of weeks of doing so, one day in a coaching session, he excitedly told me, "My best ideas are emerging during my fun times." The other day, I was relaxing in my jacuzzi at home, and suddenly a business idea arose that is not only good, but I have everything to start it up without any stress. I will take it on as a hobby, and the best thing is that I will provide jobs to people in the surrounding area. I am beginning to feel that enthusiasm that I thought I had lost by spending hours in my business, doing the same thing every day, aimlessly. I was in survival mode. Aha! In those moments of nurturing the soul is when it tells you what to do. You connect with your inspiration and motivation and enthusiasm. True equilibrium or balance stems from being able to have fun and work at the same time. There will come a day where there's no difference between one and the other. Perhaps in a season, you will work very hard to carry out a project. But if that project originates from your inspiration, then it won't matter because you will be having fun and creating at the same time. Likewise, when you sense beforehand, with your newly awakened awareness, that you must relax and enjoy yourself by walking, sharing time with family, meditating, surely you will. When our soul is happy, we're highly productive. This is the best thing you can do for your finances, your business, your career, and your personal relationships. Allow yourself to rest and have fun, and you will see the magical ideas and answers that will arise from this process. You will create the most important thing, a passionate life where work and fun will become one. In this last coaching session, Oscar told me, I'm still busy, but I work on new projects that come about when I go to my farm on the weekends. It is there that a new project connects with me. And yes, it is work. But what I do gives me so much pleasure that I feel free and happy. Number 7, eat well and exercise. Our body is our vehicle, a beautiful and intelligent temple that we were given in which take this journey of the human experience. That is why, for some time now, I stopped viewing the body as something with which I had to compete or mistreat in order to be thinner, to push to endure more hours awake, or to subject it to many hours of inactivity sitting in front of a computer. Few human beings learn to have a healthy relationship with their body. From the moment we are born, the media bombards us with notions about how we should look and what we need to do to achieve this ideal, even if it's in detriment to our health. No need to look further than the physical picture of a couple with perfect bodies, expensive clothes, luxurious accessories, expressing power and joy. I have nothing against material possession that gives us pleasure, or against caring for our body to be vibrant and healthy. The problem with this image is that it depicts a perfection that immediately causes us to compare ourselves to it and say, they're happy because they have it all: money, beauty, and things. On the other hand, I'm inadequate because I don't look like that, nor I have all those things. I must then postpone my happiness. I must work long hours, although this goes against my health. Enough. Taking care of our bodies shouldn't have a superficial connotation. This should be directly linked with spirituality. Taking care of yourself is a spiritual practice because it is the way that we say to the universe, thank you for giving me this body that allows me to go from one place to another, to represent myself, to create, to serve, to grow. I'm so grateful for it that I demonstrate this appreciation to you by caring for it and honor it. There is also another syndrome caused by these images that we perceive, which seeks to take care of the body in an obsessive and compulsive manner. Because we must fill a void, or we have some form of distortion with our body image. I know a lot about this disorder because I actually experienced it. I know that you can go to extremes to the point of refraining yourself from eating or overexerting your body with exercise, by causing it the same damage as one who does nothing. So, Paola, what do I do? Do I take care of myself or not? It is all part of our intention. That is why this suggestion pertains to the chapter on how to be spiritually active. If we perceive that eating healthy and exercising has the same intention as a spiritual act, then we discover another way to connect with our source, another form of loving ourselves and enjoying this perfect vehicle that was given to us. When we commit to eating healthy and exercising, we essentially give ourselves joy. It is then that this practice becomes a gratifying and spiritual experience. It is important to keep in mind that this is not bound to simply going to the gym and becoming a vegetarian or following a paleo diet or any other diet fad. You must discover what you enjoy doing. Find out your favorite way to move. Likewise, with food, you must use self-examination and see what types of foods fill you with energy and vitality. For a long time, I didn't eat any animal products and felt good about it, as a matter of principle. However, recently I started to include chicken and eggs into my diet, and I feel incredible. These are different stages of my life, and I wish to continue swaying between them, but with love and inner peace, and without any form of dogmatism that makes me feel constrained or out of control. As I mentioned before, to get to know oneself is a privilege and a pleasure. That is why I invite you to find out how you enjoy exercising and how your body feels eating certain foods, so you may finally commit to this lifestyle. You will soon discover that with a well-nourished and exercised body, your soul will be comfortable living within it. Our body is the home that contains our being. It is well worth cleansing it, caring for it, fixing it, embellishing it. You will live happily, peaceful, and assured that you're in a safe and healthy place. Furthermore, you'll be vibrating so highly that everything you wish for will stick to you as if you were a miracle magnet. Money, relationships, business deals, ideas, love, peace, plenitude, and everything will be at your disposal because you will be energized to receive and create without limitations. Number 8, find your tribe. Your tribe are the people with whom you surround yourself, preferably people who are vibrating like you or similarly. People who appreciate the same thing you do and that you can turn to when you're faltering. Without my tribe, consisting of people who know my vision of life and my philosophy, I couldn't even do half of what I achieve. They listen to me when I need them, they guide me when I'm lost in my own fear, and they hold me accountable when I set my mind on something. You share a spiritual contract with your tribe. They are in your life not by chance. We attract these people because there is a purpose. As suggested in the book, A Course in Miracles, all encounters are holy, and interpersonal relationships are sacred assignments. We shouldn't be in this alone. Nurturing and sharing with your tribe is also a spiritual practice that connects you with your being by bonding with others. In the end, all human beings are here to connect with others. This gives us a sense of belonging and makes us happier. At a spiritual level, we are all part of the same source that was separated into different forms of energy and personified in this body that we now have. However, if we give it some thought, we are all one. We are brothers and sisters who, when we share and help each other, we potentiate consciousness and connection with our source. Never isolate yourself. Find your tribe and care for it as you would a beautiful and delicate plant. The benefits are incredibly healing and spiritual. Number 9, connect yourself with nature. 10 years ago, I came across a sport that changed my life. surfing. When I discovered it, I lived in the city, and passionate about it as I was, I would go surfing every weekend at the beach closest to San Jose, my city at the time. After a few months, it no longer was just a hobby. It became essential for me to practice. And when I stayed in the city, I felt incomplete without understanding why. Years later, I had the chance to live close to the beach in Brazil. The most incredible thing was that, despite my love for surfing, I was not surfing every day. I did, however, enjoy walking on the beach, proving to myself the incredible power that nature had on my emotions. Whenever I felt bad, I would go outside, I would look at the ocean, or go surfing, and it seemed that my problems dissipated, or at the very least, they didn't have the same dimension as my fear had portrayed them to have. My wise father always said the same, but I never really understood it when I was growing up. I saw how his weekends were devoted to his farm. During the week, he worked downtown at his business in the city, and when the weekend arrived, he couldn't think of anything more enjoyable than to be in his farm. To sow, to plow, to simply do anything in those surroundings. He would advise us to go with him, but seeing that we were not on the same level of consciousness, he respected our wishes and went to the farm alone. He would say, "It is to my utmost gratification that the weekend comes around and I can work the land in my farm." It was years later that I discovered the incredible power that nature has on our energy vibration and the connection with this creative source, with God. That is why I invite you to connect with nature. You don't have to go to the beach like I do. If you don't like the beach, or for some geographical or financial reason you cannot go to one, just go out on your lunch break if you work in an office and look for a tree. Sit under it. Observe the greenery around you. Look at the leaves that hang from it and feel yourself with its vibration. God is there. On the weekends, try to discover new places. Go to the ocean, go to the mountains, anywhere, really, where it's not too much concrete, and you will notice how you return to work on Monday, recharged and happy. I think sometimes we believe that spirituality is merely praying, going to church, or meditating. But it is much more than that. When we learn to contemplate all of the abundance that universe gives us through nature, this also becomes a beautiful and pleasant spiritual practice. Love and beauty is in all places and in all elements of nature. Let's connect with this force to set us free. Number 10, practice mindfulness. If you're not in the here and in the now, then how are you going to reach that future that you long for? Alberto Romano. These were wise words that I got from my coach. When he notices that I am in anxiety frenzy because I live too much in my future. This advice, even if it is my last suggestion, is certainly not the least important of them all. In fact, I can tell you that this last practice is the basis for all others. Generally, we live in the past or in the future, setting off a great deal of sadness or resentment because we can't change what has already happened, or because, like me, we're too preoccupied with controlling our future. In my case, by multitasking and being too passionate, my mind can enter into a sea of projects and business ideas, which most of the time, even though I'm very enthusiastic, can make me feel very overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed wanting to do a lot, change, improve, have more, and be more. And that is why I have a hard time connecting and focusing on one thing, since so many projects distract and divert me. Ironically, learning to be in the here and in the now, focused on a single task, is what allows me to move forward faster. As the famous catchphrase in Spanish says, slowly please, I'm in a hurry. For example, writing this book and finishing it, it was an act of complete centering in the present, without judgments, without agenda, simply sitting down to guide the information I have received through my experiences, my profession, and my connection with my creative source. Whenever I got distracted, the project was postponed. But as soon as I remember my mission with acceptance and patience, I wrote one word at a time. This is what brings me back to my source when I become unfocused, thanks to the thousands of ideas and biases that explode in my head day by day. How to do it? Well, with this book, you realize what your vision of the future is, who you are, and where you're going. I trust that you are already clear of what your heart longs for and what small steps you must take to get there. So, it is time now for conscious and unhurried action. Take every task of your life and, as best as you can, focus on what you're doing. Turn off distractions and connect with the present. I talked about breathing before. Be in complete awareness of your breathing for a few seconds. Feel as the air comes in and out of you. Contemplate how each part of your body feels. Connect with the sounds around you and stay there silently. You are in here and in the now. What is currently happening is the only thing we have at this time and at this moment. Is as unique as the one that follows, and the one after, and the one after that. Let's learn to contemplate nature, to be mindful of our breathing and of other people. Everything has something to teach us, yet nothing will permeate a mind that is surrounded by noise. What should you do today? Set your mind to put all of your focus on at least one task of the day. Do it with the intention of connecting with the moment, with the task, with your presence, with your intelligence, and with your intuition. When we live in the present, we can also detach ourselves from the results. If we're too identified with our expectations, then we don't experience what we're living in the now, and we spend our lives without actually enjoying it. Why do we enjoy being in love so much? Because when we're in those first stages of discovery of one another, you're present. All of your senses are connected in the moment, absorbing every single moment with that person. It is gratifying, unreserved, and pleasant. That is why we enjoy it so much. Now, imagine living your life as if you were in love with each moment, absorbing, observing, and taking advantage of what is in front of us. This is a lifestyle. I would love to tell you that once you learn this, you will apply it every day and remember it forever. But then again, sometimes you will overlook it, and when you are disconnected or going through a crisis, you will dredge it up again. The important thing here is not perfection, but to always aspire for a spiritual connection. Enjoy the journey. With the love that emerges from my heart, I have just shared with you what has set me free and I know that in your journey, you will find the same experience. For me, freedom is not a destination, but the journey itself. Enough with postponing your happiness and your freedom. Life will be too boring if everything occurred just like our fear presumes it will. The universe has wonderful and awesome ways of working. Everything happens in a perfect way, in perfect time. Everything is part of the synchronicity in which we live in, and to flow in this synchronicity is the true secret. As long as we flow with everything that happens for us, trusting that every single thing has a purpose, then the universe shall provide us with the answers, with ease and with clarity. My intention in this book has been to offer you all the tools I know, teach you to apply them, to combine them with what you yourself already know, and with other teachings that you will acquire along the way in order to create your own formula for freedom. Remember that all the answers are at your disposal, and the more you practice silence, the more you curiously contemplate what transpires, and the more you connect with your soul, the more you shall secure a life of plenitude. Perhaps never perfect, but intensely beautiful and unique in all of its imperfections. Also, keep in mind that you're not alone in this. There are already millions of people in the world in this same quest. Start by vibrating high, and you will attract them to you. And if you feel alone for some reason, remember that you're only as far as a conscious breath from home, from yourself. And you know that when you are with yourself, you are never alone. When you are with yourself, you are free.